The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. SGPN is teaming up with Shady Rays for Shady May. Get 50% off your Shady Rays using the promo code SGPN and then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win $500. We're also brought to you by our Kentucky Derby contest. Winner gets a $100 SGPN gift card exclusively on the SGPN app. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne, up in the northeast of England. Today is May the 5th, Friday, and we are here with a little turbo episode. Me and Noah have picked a handful of games for ease of consumption, mainly. We know everyone's got a busy weekend, stuff going down, and myself and Noah and Moonaf and Dylan are a bit busier too. So I've picked 3 games. I think Noah's picked a handful too. And we will take you through those as best we can. Joining me, number 77, Mr. Noah Bieniek. Noah, what's happening?
How we doing, Malcolm? Safe to say that I might have won Wookiee of the Year last year, since I was the only one that caught that bet. You had a Star Wars fan sit out yesterday on the podcast for May the 4th, but I hope you had a great day yesterday, Mal.
Well, I still haven't got over that. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still furious about what happened. I mean, I'm not, as it happens, I am not a Star Wars person, kind of. However, I thought I'd worked. And what the worst thing about it, Noah, was I warned them at the top of the show, didn't I? I said, in the next hour, I'm going to work in the greatest baseball/Star Wars joke you've heard. I slotted it in there, waited for the plaudits, waited to be carried shoulder high around the room, and I got absolutely fuck all of any of them. Mate, it was a nightmare.
Yeah, man, you need me for your charity laugh.
Charity, yeah. Oh God, Moonaf spotted that we're 10 minutes late. Oh, Moonaf, are we 50 minutes early? That's what you've got to ask yourself. Captain Sano, TV DVJ, kicking around. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to ask you, Noah, about the college baseball and the shenanigans, because I listened to your show today. So I understand. And here's the thing. I've probably mentioned it on this show. I spoke to Sean and Ryan about it. In fact, I spoke to them about it when we were out in Vegas, when the US betting regulations have been relaxed. And because you're kind of quite a few years behind us in everything, frankly, but in the gambling industry. So we've had all of this when gambling was deregulated, and you could do what they would call spot betting. So you could bet on, in cricket, is the first ball going to be a run scored? Is it going to be a wide? Will it be a no ball? That kind of thing. Or in football, they would do time of the first throw in under or over 30 seconds. And the team would kick off, and the bloke would just boot the ball into the crowd, and they'd all cash the bet. It makes no difference to the game. It makes no difference to anyone. And so that's what we call spot fixing. And I've had this conversation with about 5 people on the network that this was unavoidable. This will happen. And is it going to happen in professional baseball? So MLB first pitch, you might get a minor leaguer who comes up, who's not earning much money. It might be his first shot. And the bet will be first pitch, ball or strike. And all he has to do is throw one in the dirt. And that's it. Game over. His family, his friends, everyone back home can cash all of the bets. It doesn't affect the outcome of the game particularly, apart from he's 0-1 in that at bat. There might be 10-0 up. There might be 10-0 down. And I've seen the college point shaving documentary and that sort of thing. But this, Noah, that seemed to be obviously. You did an excellent job on that show. And yeah, tell us a little bit about it. So, what was it? Was he betting on something as minute as it was? It was more the money line, wasn't it? He didn't get kind of in the minute of what we call spot fixing on one particular event.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, college baseball is such a niche market. We only really have money lines and then some totals and run lines in other places, but really, it's just money line. And if you want to raise the odds on the bet, you have to do a parlay. So what had happened was this market that's so small, and basically college baseball is really regional. You have a couple of states down in the Sun Belt area, the Bible Belt area. It's basically the SEC, the Southeastern Conference. That's the biggest conference for baseball. And basically their fan bases are so big for college baseball because they don't have any MLB teams down there in the Southeast. You have the Florida teams in Tampa Bay and Miami, and you have Atlanta, but there's nothing really in the Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana area. So in Ohio, this bet was placed on one of those SEC games, and it sticks out like nobody's business because David Purdom, an ESPN reporter, goes like, he talked to some of his sources and sportsbooks, didn't even take a single bet on this game in some places, and one sportsbook only had $35 of action. So when you come in, and this was obviously at least 4 figures, and usually there's a cap on some of these niche markets for like as much money you can bet. I'm not throwing around 4 figures. I don't have that kind of money to be thrown on a bet, but obviously when you have the information. So what had happened was the head coach of Alabama had called somebody in Ohio, and he's on the phone in the sports book placing the bet. And obviously it's a large wager. It was a large wager on LSU's money line single and then LSU's money line in a parlay. And 2 very large bets stick out like a sore thumb, and you know something's up. And surveillance video showed that he was on the phone with somebody. Then Alabama, the university, did a investigation. They found out that Brad Bohannon, the Alabama baseball coach, was on the phone with somebody in Ohio. So that's your story right there. And it's just idiocy somewhat.
Yeah, it is. But it's just, I quite have just rolled my eyes because I'm 100% you. Like I say, I'm 15 years ahead of this. We've had, say, spot fixing. So first minute throw in, first ball of the match is a no ball in cricket or something like that. We've got a player at the moment who plays for Brentford. He's been called in the last England squad, top class international footballer, who is being charged with 211 counts. He bet on himself to get a yellow card in the game. Now, all you have to do is show some dissent. So with 2 minutes left in the game, he took the ball and he booted the ball into the crowd. Instant yellow card. He's earning 70 grand a week. I don't know what he's betting on. But yeah, this is going to happen more and more and more. And I'm kind of already looking forward to the shock and awe that the American public are going to have on stories that are all kind of old hat to me. I could probably, like Nostradamus, predict the next 10 betting scandals that you're going to get in the States. And it's always when people get too greedy. It's like that you say that idiot hasn't thought that there's $35 bet on this game. I'm going to bet $5,000 and hope no one can sing it. Like, you need to be a little bit cleverer with it. Like, so. But I enjoyed that, mate. Like I say, I think you did you were in very serious journalistic mode. I was quite very impressed with you. Mate.
That's how it's come up. Is like I don't, dude. The landing here at SGPN was completely different than what I thought I was gonna be doing. Like, I was in school like to be journalist and all that kind of stuff. And yeah. So it was like going back to my old roots. I wrote it out. I'm gonna put an article out like. And it's just professional reporting just on an SGPN podcast that you would never really expect. But yeah, it's just kind of what I always did in school. So it was easy. I think.
Oh, that came across. I thought it was great, mate. Well done. Yeah, who else is in the chat? Abdi's arrived. Good evening. Lane. Riley, how you doing? There's a little bit of horse chat. A couple of people have had some horses. The Kentucky Oaks goes off in about 34 minutes. And South Lawn is going to win at a price of about 8-1. So absolutely fill your boots. If we're still on, we could watch that live, or that could be the challenge. We'll get off inside 30 minutes, and we can go and cash some bets on that. I'll tell you first about Shady Rays and Shady May. Shady Rays is teaming up with SGPN for Shady May. Not only do you get an amazing 50% off, but you also have a chance to win $500. Shady Rays have you covered from the sun to the slopes, with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much more. Shady Rays have got durable frames and extremely clear optics, and it's the lost and broken replacement offer, which is outstanding. They'll replace them, no questions asked. You can return them for free within 30 days, so there is no risk at all. Go to shadyrays.com, use the code SGPN for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. then take your receipts to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win the $500 Shady May contest. We are going to talk some baseball, I promise you. I'll just quickly tell you my favourite betting scandal. In fact, it was just this year. It might be last season in the football. In the FA Cup, Noah, you might be aware, it's a free draw. Anyone can enter. So you'll get big teams like Newcastle will play tiny little teams. And one of these tiny little teams had made it through into a televised game. And they've got a big fat goalie on the bench. He was about 45. He was kind of like the player coach, and he was a big old man. And one of the firms put up a bet on whether or not he would be caught by TV cameras eating a pie on the bench. So obviously he got him and all of his mates to put a bet on. And then halfway through the game, the camera pans across and he's stuffing his face with a big steak and kidney pie. And everyone cashed their bet. But he got banned for he got like a 6-month ban or something stupid for it. But he was thought like if it was his one last payday, he didn't care. All his mates down the pub were cheering him on, eating this pie on the bench, racking up all their winnings. So yeah, you've got all that to come to us, something to look forward to.
That's nuts. I can't wait.
I'll try and find you the link to the story. But big fat goalie eating a pie. It's a really good photo as well. So the Cubbies won tonight and cashed a couple of bets as well for the boys. We took Cubbies on the run line. It was friend of the show, Justin Steele. So that one's cashed, but there's no more days ball. What I've done, I've picked 3 games, Noah. And I think you picked 3 as well. Just the kind of the premium games of Friday night. So let's have a bosh through. I've got first up 4:10 Eastern, the Yankees at the Rays, which is Domingo Germán and Drew Rasmussen. The Yankees are plus 155. Rasmussen is minus 180. Total is at 7.5. I mean, it was hard. It's really hard to handicap the Rays. We have a problem every week on the Premier League show trying to handicap Manchester City because it was like minus 700 and like minus 3.5 goals. It's Tampa Bay kind of getting a little bit like that. Germán's 2-2, 4.46 ERA. And he did bounce back last time. He had 2 starts where he gave up 5 home runs against in those 2 starts. But he bounced back last time with 8 1/3 in and pitched, 2 hits and 1 earned run in a game, remarkably, that New York still contrived to lose. He's only pitched 9 innings on the road, so that's kind of a wait and see scenario for him, man. My issue with the Yankees at the minute is the bottom half of this lineup. It's horrible. They didn't play yesterday, so I pulled up the box score from Wednesday night, and it's not even so well. The bottom half: Hicks hitting 146, Cabrera 196, IKF's hitting 196, Peraza 185, Higashioka, fair enough, part-time catcher, but hitting 182, and then even you've got Volpe hitting 221. Torres hitting 236. They were hitting 1 and 2 on Wednesday. So that's where your struggles are. It's not rocket science. Like Tampa Bay, Rasmussen 3-2, 3.66 ERA. He's been a little bit dodgy. 3 of his last 4 starts have been a bit ropey, walking too many batters. Couldn't find any patterns for Rasmussen at all, really. He's pitched 8 innings against the Yankees in his career. 1 start last year where he went 6 scoreless. The 17-2 home record is really, really hard to ignore as well. And I just like the way Tampa have we know they're going to do this, but the way they've made changes to some of their lineup, we've talked about Yandy Diaz a lot, Brandon Lau won, and Taylor Walls as well. He was featured on MLB Central today. D-Row was breaking down Taylor Walls. And just this ability to make players better from Tampa, where some of those names we've just read out, Aaron Hicks, etc., Gleyber Torres. The Yankees don't seem to have this ability. So not a very exciting bet, although it is an exciting series. Tampa Bay Rays, I like them on the money line. I like them on the run line, which is plus 125. And I do like the first 5 over as well, because I think, like I say, Rasmussen has been a little bit vulnerable. So they could see some runs early on as well. No. So that was my game. Any thoughts on that one? Then you can tell us what you've picked.
No, I loved it. It's not rocket science. It is the Tampa Bay Rays so far, and the Yankees have done nothing for you to want to lay with their prices so far this year. Like, that offense has been abysmal, and I think you had a great handicap for just a vanilla play, but I love it. I love it.
Nice. Okay, tell us where you went.
My first game here is a battle between the top two teams in the AL Central right now, the Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Guardians. I love both of these starters, and I think I'm going to go with the under 8 here, or just a first 5 under. And what so Cleveland is 26th in the MLB with a 646 OPS against right-handed pitching, 27th in the MLB with an 80 WRC plus against righties. And on the year, Sonny Gray is 4-0 with a 0.77 ERA, 41 strikeouts in 35 innings. Gray is striking out 29% of the batters he's facing so far this year, and that's the most since the 2020 season, second most in his career. The Twins, they only have a 632 OPS against left-handed pitching, which is 27th in the MLB. They have the 26th ranked WRC plus against lefties at 77, and I'm buying all of the Tanner Bybee and Logan Allen stock here. In 2 starts, Logan Allen has 16 strikeouts and was only given up 3 total runs. The Marlins aren't a great offense, but Boston has been very respectable so far this year, and now he draws another favorable matchup. I like the under 8 at minus 120 in this matchup here.
Okay, I love that. TBDBJ saying he snagged 60-1 Cy Young about Sonny Gray last week. Sonny Gray is fast becoming one of my favourite MLB players. Like, I don't have much history. I don't try to have many favourites. I like the fact that I've got a little bit of distance. I feel like, because I haven't with some of the other sports I handicap, and I get a little bit too invested. It's hard overhead. I like the distance I've got with baseball. But yeah, Sonny Gray's, he's told me a little bit. He's very, very easy to root for.
He's been just really kind of an average Joe throughout his career. Some years he's been better than others. And I mean, he's been all over the place. Started with like Oakland and then Cincinnati and New York, then back to Cincinnati. Now he's in Minnesota. But he was a guy that, you know, he has great foundation because he's a Vanderbilt guy. And going back to college baseball, that is one of the best pitching organizations or programs in the country. So Sonny Gray has always kind of been one of the guys that I root for as well.
I think he undoes another button on his shirt every time he strikes someone out as well. That's quite a nice touch. Like, so on a good day, you can tell he's pitching well if he's unbuttoned right down past his belly button. I'm all for that. Right, let's have a look. Stop talking about Sonny Gray's belly button. Didn't expect that to crop up tonight, Noah. That's a good name for a band as well. 7:15
bingo card here. That one wasn't probably on it.
It wasn't on there last night, though. I did have a fun bingo card on the Kentucky Derby show.
I love it.
Just because Sean and Wright, honestly, they think I'm a performing chimp and they make me say the same stuff every year just for their own entertainment. So I made myself a little bingo card and crossed them off one at a time. And I had the bingo inside about 7 minutes of the show. Like, I don't know why they just don't. We could have recorded it 4 years ago and they could just play it. It's one long fucking sound drop, really. I went to Baltimore at Atlanta tomorrow, 7:15 first pitch. Kyle Bradish for Baltimore and Spencer Strider for Atlanta. Plus 195 on the Orioles, minus 225 on the Braves. Total is set at 8.5. Now, I like Kyle Bradish. I had kind of high hopes for him. He's in some best ball and draft and hold teams that I've got. 1-1 on the year, 6.14 ERA in the 4 games started. He was injured out of spring training, so has 4 starts now. But they've been a mess, unfortunately, since he returned. Given up 3 earned runs against Detroit, 7 earned against Boston in a game where he walked 4 batters. He just doesn't look right, so unfortunately, it's a wait and see for him. Spencer Strider, 4-0 record, 2.57 ERA, started 6 games. Now, he gave up 4 last time at the New York Mets. That was by far his worst start. Eventually, the walks caught up with him in that game. He only gave up 5 hits. He's still striking everybody out. So, both of these teams are in really good form. This is kind of the reason I picked it, because you look at the Braves, 22-10, and think, yeah, that scans. They've been outstanding. And then you look at the Orioles, 21-10, and you think, where did that happen? Because people have been talking about them, been surprised about them, but they've just been way, way, way under the radar. just been not catching the gas that Atlanta do at all. And the Mets are putting themselves in an awkward position by being down on these teams. So, yeah, both in good form, but it's Bradish that worries me. In Spencer Strider's start, Atlanta give him lots of help as well. They've scored 9, 11, 8, 5, and 7 in the last 5 of those Spencer Strider starts. Atlanta are only hitting 248 at home. They're better on the road, but the presence of Bradish swings it here. So I'll be looking for an Atlanta team total, I think. The fact they've been scoring a lot of runs behind Spencer Strider. I love this. So maybe, what would the total be? 4.5, I would have said maybe.
Yeah, probably. I would say 4.5 or 5.
Yeah, so Atlanta can get there. So that would be my pick on that one. Little fade to Kyle Bradish, Noah.
Yeah, I like what you said about Baltimore too. Is they've been flying under the radar, and more of the talking point about Baltimore this year is how Gunnar Henderson's kind of struggled out the gates, and how Grayson Rodriguez has kind of struggled out here so far this season. Like some of their young guys that haven't been performing up to expectation, and guys like Adam Frazier coming up in big spots, and he was a signing that even I questioned at the beginning there, and my guy Adley Rutschman just picking up right where he left off last year, and this bullpen is really, really good. So my second game. No, you're good. My second game starts at 6:35 Eastern time here. It's the Toronto Blue Jays at the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I'm going to take the over 8.5 here. Both offenses, they're top 10 in the league in WRC plus, and they're facing middle of the road starting pitching in this game. Johan Oviedo, has seen some hype, but he was just roughed up by the Nationals for 7 runs in 2.1 innings. He has a 13.75 ERA in his last 2 starts against the Nationals and the Dodgers. 1 away, 1 at home. Tough to really draw anything out from the trends here, and then we know the deal with Jose Barrios. He's 2-3 on the year with a 5.29 ERA. He allowed 5 runs in 5 innings to the Red Sox in his last start. He had a 4.71 ERA in the month of April, and he's carrying an expected ERA of 5.18. So I'm going to take the over here between 2 really good offenses facing below average pitchers.
Captain Insano, everything looks good on me, mate. Yeah, Oviedo, we had to keep backing him until something went wrong, because I think that was inevitable. But while he was enjoying himself and having fun, I was happy to keep following him. So it'll be interesting to see how he follows up that little bump in the road that he had on his last start. Okay, a couple of games left. I've got one more, which is a good one. I'll tell you first about Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes, plus plenty of ways to win with NBA, NHL, and MLB with their player prop parlays. Head to underdogfantasy.com, use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. And there's still time to get involved in the Kentucky Derby stuff. You've got about 24 hours. The notorious OTB show, which is on this network, it's got all your Triple Crown bets. If you leave a review for the show between now and Belmont Saturday, which is June the 10th, you'll be entered into a draw to win a canvas print of the Wolves' one-of-a-kind Fallen Bob painting, and the bonus contest exclusively on the SGPN app, where the winner gets a $100 SGPN gift card. Okay, final game for me is the 8:40 first pitch between the LA Dodgers and the San Diego Padres. Dustin May for the Dodgers and Blake Snell, left-handed pitcher for San Diego. And it is a match on the books, -110 each of 2. You can get a total of 8 or 8.5, depending on what you fancy. Dustin May, 3-1. 3.15 ERA, started 6 games for the Dodgers. He's been steady. 1 bad start against the New York Mets. Last year against the Padres, his numbers were okay, 3.88 ERA. But did finish 1-4 in the games he started against the Padres last year. Blake Snell's just been really, really average, incredibly average. He's only gone beyond 5 innings once. He's walking everybody, and he's given up at least 1 homer in every start. It's good to see Juan Soto hitting a lot better for the Padres. He's been a lot more aggressive at the plate. He's hitting .450 in his last 6 games with an 11.42 OPS. This game smells like runs to me. The Padres are batting better and can get to Dustin May. They got to him last season. And Blake Snell's very, very hittable. So I think both teams can score. We got all kinds of ways to cash this. So I'll be finding an 8 and I'll be taking the over, Noah.
Yeah, I like the over there too. Hopefully it's more on Snell and not on my guy Dustin May, but I'm right there with you. My third and final game here, and then I have some stats on the 2 starts of the seasons this year and last year that we can go over after. But yeah, my last game here is the Texas Rangers and the LA Angels. Nathan Eovaldi is starting for the Rangers. He's had a good start to the year so far. 3-2 with a 3.93 ERA, 39 strikeouts, only 5 walks in 36.2 innings pitched. Whereas my guy Reed Detmers has not had the best start to the season. 0-2 with a 4.85 ERA, and he doesn't pitch to get weak contact and ground balls. On a day we'll see 15-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to center field at Angel Stadium, I think it favors the Rangers, who enter the game at plus 100. I'll take the better pitcher on the mound in an environment that's going to favor his ratios. 50% ground ball, 50% ground ball, 15% fly ball ratios for Nathan Eovaldi. I think he's going to have a much better day than Detmers here in this game. So at plus money, give me the Rangers on the money line.
Didn't Eovaldi throw a complete game last time?
Did he?
Did he?
I didn't
Something in my head.
He's done great, like really good so far this year.
Sure, we see. We've got. Yeah, go on.
Go ahead. Give me 2 seconds and I'll have this up. But go ahead.
There's got to be some sort of stat on this. Let's have a look. Yeah, he did on the 29th. 9 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, struck out 8 batters. Now, there will be a stat on this, but this is just me being really lazy. Every time a pitcher throws a complete game shutout, I always think they're going to get humped the next game, or they do seem to, just because their arm's hanging off. Do you not think is that a thing that happens? Is there going to be a likely arm hangover, for want of a better term, from what he did last week?
You're not technically wrong. How many pitches did he throw in this game?
Yeah, that's important. 809. That's not. I made that up, Noah. That's not true. That's just not true. Don't anyone write that down. That would be madness.
Yeah, I'm trying to load it. 113, which is quite a bit in this day and age. But I don't know. You might be talking me off a cliff here because Reed Detmers is my boy. But both bullpens are pretty good. So I'm not on the over here. At plus money, with Eovaldi going, I think it's a good look when I was looking at all the games.
I'm gonna
might not ride it now.
I'm gonna try and find out that stat, or more likely, I'll make someone else do it. So anyone in the YouTube comments,
how they pitch after a complete
yeah. If you could sort that out by Monday, I'd be greatly appreciated. Who should we do it? Lane Elliott, that's your job. But you will not be allowed back.
Coming after a no-hitter or a perfect game, how they perform after that.
Can you give the listeners homework? Is that allowed?
We do have Sandy Alcantara, who threw like 8 complete games last year. He was unbelievable the whole year. But he could be an outlier. So
Lane and Captain do like the steals as well on Detmers.
I think he's top 10 in the league in allowing steals. So
new name in the chat. I haven't new name to me anyway. Christian. Good evening, sir. How you doing? Always nice to see your new name and or face in there. Right, you said you had some other stuff. Tell us about the other stuff, Noah.
Yeah, so 2 weeks into the season, we did one of these episodes. It was like a Thursday or something. There's 7 games, so we talked about it and jumped into the numbers. And I've pulled them out again. And so this year through the first, so it's the first 36 days, this whole sample size. So from this year and last year, comparing each other after all the rule changes and everything. Batting average this year is 247. Last year was 235. That's up 12 points. On base percentage, 321 compared to 308. So it's up 13 points. On base percentage this year, or slugging percentage, sorry, this year is 407. Last year at this point of the season, it was 375. So that is up, 32. And then BABIP, which is a great predictor for what batting average could be, 298 this season. It was 284 last season. So we're looking at a 298 BABIP over a 247 average. And then I have counting stats here too. So do you have any takeaways, or it was kind of what you expected through the slash line and BABIP so far?
Yeah, I think so. We kind of knew there was projections that were similar. Obviously, we knew this stuff was going to go up and down. I think it's settled because the one thing that I still don't understand is that obviously the amount of steals and stuff has gone up, but there's still a lot of teams that aren't using that facility. They've kind of been given the option of doing it, and they're just not doing it. And
I know.
what's the stolen base success rate? Is over 80%? Is it over 90?
So it was 82% when I found it out through the first 2 weeks. It's dropped to 79%, but that's better than 74%. And stolen bases this year, there's been 671. Last year there was 473 so far through the points of the season. But last year, 170 runners were thrown out, stealing bases so far. 178 have been thrown out this year. So you're throwing out the same amount of runners, but over the stolen bases are up 5% so far this year.
There's just some teams just not bothering. Like, you just think, come on, let's have a go.
That's not correct. It's not up 5%. Hold on, let me do the math on this one real quick. It is up 42%.
Nope.
I wrote that down. I wrote that on the wrong thing. Stolen bases are up 42% from last year. And then home runs, 1,087 of them this year. Last year we had 916. They're up 18.7% this year.
That's all Yandy Diaz.
Yeah. I was able to steal him off the free agency, off the waiver wire in our dynasty league.
Did you really? Nice.
Yeah. And then the runs, 4,365 of them this year. Last year, 4,045. Runs are up 7.9% this year. Strikeout rate is higher, 0.03% higher, but still. This year it's 22.9. Last year it was 22.6. Walk rate up just 0.1% compared to last year. So 8.8 this year, 8.7 last year. Average exit velocity, 89 miles an hour this year. It was 88.8 miles an hour last year. So it's just up 2 points. Pitcher ERA. Take a guess what it is this year and what it was last year.
It's the starting pitching speed. I reckon it's got to be up about 60 points. It's got to be up from 3.8 to 4.3.
That's incredible. It's up 53 points, and it went from 385 in 2022 to 425 in 2023.
I don't get paid enough for this, honestly. I'm like a computer Noah.
And then pitcher Sierra last year, 390. It's up 35 points this year to 425. So that's just kind of a nice stat to predict ERA. And it's pitcher independent too, just on the balls put in play off of them. But yeah, I mean, it's a really good offensive environment. And what I've learned from this is I'm going to expand my parameters on stolen base props a little bit more. And also home runs are up compared to what I thought was going to be pretty much a little bit neutral, maybe just slightly a bit more this year. They're up 18.7%. So I think that's definitely still a market that we're able to play here.
TV DBG had a guess in the comments. It was a whole run out, but let's not split hairs. Right, my main takeaway is I've enjoyed it. There you go. That's statistical analysis for you.
I've
It's been
enjoyed
easier to watch, like, because I have to, again, like I just said, I have the distance. I haven't got the baggage of having watched it my entire life. So I don't know what it was like in the old timey days. I then don't know what it was like. I obviously know what it was like recently. And this version for me is a lot more, it's an easier and more fun to consume. I can get a full game in sometimes before I go to bed. I'm not as, I've had about 20 hours more sleep than I did through this time of the year last season. So there's a metric. I mean, how many hours of sleep per night have I gained via the pitch clock?
Way.
Well, you never go to sleep. You're a ridiculous young man. But no, I think it's been great. It's been a great aesthetic, and it's all been positive for me.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, all of the offensive numbers are up, and we've cut game times by at least 20 minutes. So it's amazing.
And the next important stat is that it's 4 minutes and 40 seconds to the start of the Kentucky Oaks, Noah. So we can get this wrapped up. I can pour myself a drink, and we go and watch South Lawn. Go and romp home. So you've got 4 minutes to place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Anything you want to tell us about over the weekend before we crack on, Noah?
No, just follow me on Twitter at 77MD. I'll be posting college baseball plays for the weekend. And yeah, I mean, we already plugged that show in the beginning. I appreciate that, Mel. So yeah, I got nothing more to add here.
Beautiful. Kentucky Derby article and podcast. The Japanese horse is the answer. And if you want some Premier League picks, go to the Premier League show because we've been in great form. I'm going to watch Newcastle beat Arsenal on Sunday. If we win,
the Japanese horse is the answer, but isn't there like 3 of them though?
Well, there is now because there was a couple of scratches.
Yeah.
The first one, Derma Sotagaki. Yeah, that is the answer. Right, thanks everyone for chirping up in the comments. That was fun again. We'll be back. I'll not be back on Sunday because I will be full of beer again. We've got this stupid King's coronation to get through this weekend as well. That's going to make my teeth itch all weekend. Load of idiots already lined up on the in the streets of London to watch a stupid, unelected, Ponzi sausage-fingered man go past in his gold carriage with his anyway to his castle, palace, whatever it is.
Malcolm definitely loves this guy. You can just tell.
Preposterous. It's all preposterous. Right. Have a lovely weekend. Have loads of winning bets. Some people will be back on Sunday. Until then, we'll see you down the road. Cheers.